All right, today we're gathering with Cara Berry, host of Everyone's Business But Mine. She's been on before. There's a lot happening in the Bravo world and the Housewives world. How are you? Thanks for being here.
I am great. Could not be happier to be with you on
Mm,
this day
hmm
of Gibson, what happened? What were you referring to?
Listen, we all did our, emergency commentary on Wendy and Eddie's arrests
Did.
last, at the end of last week. We're recording on Monday. That news came out on Friday. And we've been sitting with this for the weekend, really. There hasn't
Mm,
really been an update, I guess, since like the initial news and her releasing the kind of the statement through the rep or the lawyer or whatever it was on Friday afternoon. So how are you like 2 or 3 days out from the news being revealed?
oh man, I'm like overwhelmed and
Hmm.
I don't want to invoke the term Scandival, but I feel like obviously this is not like a cheating situation, but it feels Scandivalian in essence, in the sense that I'm just like so shocked that this is like the two last people that I would have expected up to this alleged um fraud.
Hmm.
I cannot wrap my mind around it, and I cannot make sense of it. But I had a question for you, which is, how do you feel knowing that the feds have probably seen your podcasts in order to gather evidence? Do you have an emotion about that?
I don't. I mean, it makes me feel a little uneasy to be honest, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was sort of like when it came out, and then when it came out that it was, allegedly connected to this burglary that had apparently happened at their house.
Hmm.
I immediately was like, oh, I asked her about this last year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And in my mind, I was like, all right, this clip is gonna be found. Like,
Yeah.
because I also didn't realize, Carol, like nobody else ever asked her about it, which is kind
Yeah.
of like there are no other interviews where she talks about it, which tells me a lot actually about like how little attention they were calling to this incident, which to be honest, like that's really unhousewivesy to like
Yeah.
if you had, and I hate to say it this way, but like if your home was broken into or something like that and your happens in your life right before filming a season of Real Housewives, like I would venture to say that like 85 to 90% of housewives would have that be their storyline for that season, right? Like I don't think that Wendy mentioned it once on the show, and if it was mentioned, it was in very much in passing, which is if you think back to it, that's really unusual. You know what I mean? And so I was like, all right, let me put this clip out because it's going to be found anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like people are going to
Yeah.
be mining her old interviews from around this time, and I might as well try to put it out fairly objectively and just like obviously I knew it would like generate conversation, but
Yeah.
I think I maybe underestimated how much conversation it generated because it really is a wild clip once you read all the evidence and stuff from the court documents and then you watch that and you're like as you said, it's hard. It's almost impossible to wrap your mind around it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're totally right about the storyline because her storyline last season was kind of reconciling with Eddie's family and then
Hmm.
like quitting her job.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I'm curious for you because I feel like in the past couple of days, as I've been in various group chats and paid attention to
Hmm.
the conversation online, there is this idea like again, it's all hindsight is 2020, right? So everyone's like having all this like, oh, I told you so kind of energy in some of their commentary around this, but
Yeah.
like you do think about sort of the evolution of Wendy on the show, both like in how she was dressing, in her, launching various businesses and product lines during her time on the show. And I think a lot of people are sort of saying how that points to like something about her that could be connected to like going this route, I guess, that I think it all comes up to like keeping up with the Joneses and putting on appearances and all this kind of stuff. And I'm curious from your perspective, like if you think about the evolution of Wendy and Eddie, like does that help it track at all with what happened or allegedly happened?
Yeah, there was a great content creator who kind of brought in the her Nigerian culture and how that might factor in and how, sheltered and how education is such a cornerstone of what parents are looking for out of their children. One that comes with a lot of debts with all of those degrees.
Hmm.
And two, she mentioned like even if you're living in American as a Nigerian American and you're so steeped in that culture, you don't necessarily have like the strongest foothold on American culture. And so you see housewives type stuff, cars, labels, all that stuff.
Hmm.
And she may have thought like this is what it's supposed to look like. And so we're coming up, Happy and Ness are making their debut
Right. Happy and
and,
Ness.
new body. And I was honestly rocking with her when she was telling, like, like Robin and Giselle, I just had a kid. I'm like, trying to just like get back to myself. And
Right.
I was with her. And, I fear that the Green Eye Bandits may have been correct, even though I hate to admit it. I really do.
Yeah, it's like again, it's all like in hindsight, right? It's like I was always rocking with Wendy too. Like that,
Yeah.
like I love Wendy, and I love her family, and I
Yeah.
love Eddie, and obviously you're thinking about the kids and all this kind of stuff, but it just we do have 5 seasons worth of content to see sort of like how things, built up to this alleged crime that they're being accused of committing. And I guess the one distinction, I guess, in the what they're being accused of is like one is that they're being accused of staging this robbery, and the other is that they're being accused of like the insurance fraud of putting all that stuff on the claims. And so I guess there's like I think there is another faction of fans online who's talking about it like, oh, I think the robbery actually happened, but they probably did, put a bunch of stuff on this and claim that wasn't actually stolen. So there, but I just feel like, and I'm not assuming anything. I think you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But like, there's a lot of evidence that
It's
is
not
that,
great.
yeah, it's really not good. And like as you said, it just doesn't, it just doesn't track. It's really
The
hard to track it.
the email is what's really blowing
The
me. The
email,
alleged
that's the
email
smoking
from
gun.
like
Yeah.
we've all said it. Dorinda said it. Say it, forget it, write it, regret it. And
Yep.
as a lawyer, especially, I mean, and there are so many examples in Housewives history that we can look at about bad behavior and getting caught up and how being on television probably isn't great. Like maybe theoretically you could do some dastardly deeds and get away with it. But when there are a lot of eyes on you, it's really difficult.
And like Eddie and Wendy are so smart and they've seen this happen. They've seen things happen to other people in similar
Yeah.
positions on these shows. And I just that's where it's again, it's hard to like I don't know if you just get carried away and you get maybe in the bubble of being on Housewives and you think I just don't know how you can think you can get away with something like this allegedly being done. And
For me,
yeah.
I would give her more of a pass, and I've said this on my podcast. Had she done this prior to coming on
Mm,
the show, and then you get caught up years later, that makes more sense to me. You're years into this show, and you decide allegedly that this is a thing that we're going to do.
right. You're right. And like another sort of point is like people were talking about how expensive it is to be a housewife. Like especially in
Mhm.
early seasons, like I think you're investing a lot of your own money and you're not being paid a ton
Right.
in your first couple seasons, but obviously the hope is that you'll be on for 4, 5, 6 seasons in Wendy's case where it can really kind of net out and you're getting other business opportunities and you can launch brands like Wendy has done. But in the evidence, it said they were in, substantial debt, I think was the wording of the court document. And, tied to that is they were launching a cannabis business. And apparently it's like hard to get a loan for something like that. And so I think when you're in that kind of business, you have to have a lot of cash on
Yeah.
hand. I think that's probably a part of this alleged situation because that was the direction they were taking their brands, right? Like
Right, right.
Happy Eddie is their storyline this season.
Yeah. Oh,
It's hard. It's hard.
I'm
And then and
really
then and
blown.
then and then it's like we watch Potomac, and it's funny because I don't think it watching last night's episode, it didn't like fully impact necessarily how I was watching the show, I
Right.
guess. Like you brought up Scandival, and that was such an interesting viewing experience because they would start to breadcrumb us and we could pick up on clues of different things. I don't know if that's going to happen here other than like them talking about redoing their house and how well their business is doing. I just don't think that they're going to be able to breadcrumb this in the same way necessarily. I can see them like maybe cutting some stuff out of further episodes in the season. I don't know, but yeah, it doesn't. Does it take away from the viewing experience for you, or does it impact your viewing experience of episode two?
I mean, every time we go into that house, I'm going to be peeping. Every
Yeah,
time I'm going to be
yeah,
looking for jewelry, I'm going to be looking for bags. But in terms of, yeah, I think like what Wendy's dealing with in terms of these first two episodes, it didn't really move the needle for me in terms of like her
okay.
alleged behavior.
Yeah, yeah. I can still watch it and like laugh when she's being funny and like
Totally.
and about the interpersonal drama, especially because it feels so disconnected from like what these charges are, you know?
Fully. Yeah.
Yeah. And also it didn't happen on the show, so they can't even do like throwback footage or anything like that either, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get an end of the season. Everybody's joined up together at
Hmm.
Ashley's, at her event that she had this week, and that
Yeah.
allegedly cameras were up. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yep.
Watch what
All right.
happens.
So watch what happens. So we kind of this episode we jump back into Ashley's second bloom ball or whatever she was calling it. And I said this online, but I just love AJ, Stacy's best friend, who like
Right.
he is such like a throwback character on Housewives because
Hmm.
we used to get these like kind of these gay side characters who would get things popping and have great commentary. We really don't have much of that like ever anymore on Housewives, and it's just it felt like kind of like an old school Atlanta vibe with him around like defending Stacy, and it felt like good, you know. I like and they're wise to keep him around, you know.
Yeah, yeah. AJ is very much like Miss Lawrence in that like Miss Lawrence was a very reasonable man. Like he would very much like they would tell him stuff, but he would like not necessarily like try to be fighting with people, like that random gay that was on Orange County and threw the wine glass at Vicky.
Am I? Yeah. Um, and I guess like just generally because we are going to go through three episodes, so we're not going to do like a beat by beat recap here. When it comes to Stacey, how are you thinking about it? Because I think a lot of people online are viewing them like talking about her breath all the time as like bullying her and like they're all coming really hard for her and it's a gang up or whatever. Is it that serious to you or like how are you feeling about how Stacey's sort of operating and how the group is reacting to her so far through two episodes?
I feel like Ashley and Giselle have been trying it with Stacey since she got on the show last season. Giselle especially was like kind of giving like let's haze her a bit energy. And I think Ashley is a troll and she just doesn't really she just like is throwing whatever at the wall and hoping that it sticks. But I feel the rush. I'm addicted to her touch and I get Stacey and I don't see any receipts coming against her. And until that happens, I'm on her side. Like, what are we talking about? And I also don't even know what about this is so upsetting to Ashley or why she cares so much. But Stacey is an incredible woman and she just takes it. She just takes it and she's like, I thank God for me and being an incredible in my goddess breath and
Hmm.
all of that. Like, I love Stacey. She's amazing.
No, it's like for me, I'm like sort of two minds because I think I also feel the rush. I love that we're using that. I feel the rush with her. I think she's amazing for the show. Her confessionals are really fucking good. Like she is
So good.
like and like you know that in those moments she is in on the like you can tell she's in on it in terms of like she has the awareness of like yeah my goddess breath did solve thank God for me solving all the problems like she's not like she's being self-effacing in that way but I
Yeah.
also like and I know how Giselle and Ashley are so I get it but like I also am like if you are somebody on a cast with somebody like Stacy who even though there aren't receipts, there are things that don't necessarily add up about
Hmm.
her situation.
She doesn't
Like,
help herself.
no, she does not help herself because she also can't give straight answers, which I think again is amazing
It's so
television.
funny.
But if you're like somebody who has opened up about XYZ in their life and Stacey's like out here like being like, yeah, TJ is old news, and 3 months later you're back with the husband, and there's no record of your divorce, and like I get how it doesn't add up, and I get wanting to get answers, but she can't provide the answers, even if there aren't
Yeah.
receipts, and so there's this weird like middle ground with her that is like we're just in this limbo, I think, with Stacy, and I don't know if we're ever gonna get out of it, but like I like being there, you know?
Exactly. Like Ashley attacking her is annoying, but Stacey responding like, "Do you want to know what the truth is? I let that go." Like that doesn't help anything, Stacey. And thank
Right,
you.
right. And it's also like with the TJ thing, for example, like I kind of believe that maybe she's not lying. I think maybe she never actually paid him. And so she keeps saying, I never paid TJ, I never paid TJ. Do I think she may be committed to giving him some funds or something?
Mm,
Maybe that's it. So she's not technically lying about it. I don't know. But
yeah.
because she has never, I don't think she's ever fully said, I didn't like it's just the wording's always very carefully chosen with Stacey. And so that's what gives me like, oh, I think that she's beating around the bush always. And there's some that I don't know what that bush, that's the truth of that is. You know what I mean?
Is TJ in the bush? I don't know.
And listen, TJ, as you said, he never has released any sort of receipt. As much as he
Right.
promised to, he never did.
Right.
So
Unless he's walking up on the stage at the reunion, we got to let this go next season because Stacey won. Stacey won.
well, I'm trying to think of what her delivery actually sounded like, but I have this written down where Stacey was in her confessional. She's like, I am being unjustly beaten down. Beaten down. It's just like she's so, or like when she comes up to them, she's like, guys, I'm Nigerian too. And they're all just like,
I
oh
know you might want
man.
to not hear this right now, but I am also Nigerian.
Oh my God. And what do you, because Wendy's still being shady about Stacey and her confessionals, but like you
Mhm.
can tell that they're gonna become close and stick up for one another as the season goes. What do you make of that dynamic? Because Wendy and Eddie were the ones who were integral in the TJ stuff coming out.
Yeah, I like the potential of their friendship. I'm interested in seeing what's going to go on with a happy Eddie versus her line. I mean, I think at this point there's maybe not going to be any competition,
Hmm.
but let's look towards the future. Let's see.
Let's look
She
towards
should drop a strain called Goddess Breath. That's what I want Stacey to do.
that's actually literally brilliant. That's what it's going to be. It probably is going to be
Yeah.
that. What do you make of Kiarna and Wendy? Wendy's calling it a one-sided feud.
And that's exactly what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Wendy said it exactly. I'm at peace and Kay's in pieces.
The
I
great
feel
line.
like people like it comes up with Angel, her friend later, that these people don't even really know what the issue is. And I kind of feel like the things that Kay is accusing Wendy of, she's sort of guilty of herself. Like you're saying you're one way with me on camera and another way in real life, but Wendy's like, we're phone friends, which means
Mm.
a lot. If a housewife is a phone friend, that's deep.
Yeah.
But here you come on camera and you're like, I've got five, six, seven, eight issues with you. You didn't look at me. You didn't promise me that you were coming to the NAACP awards or, event. And I don't even think Wendy like clocks this stuff as an issue or understands why.
Right. I totally agree. I think that Kay, it's like I can sense that Kay feels a little bit shunned by Wendy because I think
Mm,
Wendy can have that energy probably towards new
yeah.
people. Honestly, similarly to Giselle sometimes, where it's like the new person comes
Hmm.
around and they aren't that warm to them necessarily,
Right.
which they don't necessarily have any obligation to be to that person. But when
Right.
you are that person, Kay, I think she feels that energy from Wendy, but she's reaching in terms of finding actual examples of it, and like so it doesn't totally track, and it feels like a nothing burger. But like I can sense there's probably that energy. But then you have Kay, telling Giselle, "Oh yeah, I had to chin check Angel because she was sort of like defending Wendy," and then to her credit, she did. Once Giselle was like, "No, you said that," she did apologize for that. But like,
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually, and you can tell that, and you can sense that, like, she came into this season knowing she had to do more
Hmm.
to defend her flute carrying status, and I appreciate the effort, but it's not landing so far.
That's so nice. That's such a nice critique.
Hmm. Well, because she does make me laugh, honestly, more than maybe a lot of other. Like, I don't dislike watching her, but I think that the way she's carrying herself in the interpersonal aspect of the group is not working yet. It's
She's
just,
flailing a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. But she made me laugh when she posted up in the kitchen and she didn't feel like surrounding Stacy to get the screenshot
Me.
that she made in Canva. But what do you think about the new one so far, Tia and Angel?
I got one eye on both of them.
Okay,
I'm curious about that because I feel like, what we got from Angel in her first confessionals was like Wendy is several years older than me and we were not in the same circles. And
like Danny
I'm
Phaedra
wondering
and
if this
Nene.
is going to be like a NECA situation where we're
Mm-hmm.
upset at Wendy because we know her, but not really. But she wasn't nice to us as we feel like she should have been, even though we don't
Mm.
really know this woman.
We've seen
Um,
this. We've seen this film before. Yeah,
and I didn't like the ending, and, and
literally
so
though.
so I'm curious as to how this is all going to shake out. I maybe am more excited about Tia, but Tia's got to cut it with the "I'm so rich and British" thing. Like I got it. You had a nanny and you had drivers. I got it.
It feels like it's one of those things where they told her to play it up almost. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
I
like,
hope that's what it is.
yeah, me too. Because I do get like a good vibe from her, and like and maybe it's just her voice. I like her soothing voice, but there's
Mm,
some there. I'm cautiously optimistic about them. The last thing I want to talk about with Potomac, and we'd seen her before, I guess, on the periphery, but Cookie.
Cookie.
Cookie. I'm sorry, A Star is Born. When she walked into when she walked into Tally Ho with those glasses and her tatas out, and she was just the energy was just there, and she
Yeah.
was ready. She gave us some great detail about Karen behind bars. She was casually texting Chris Samuels. She was throwing
Right.
shade. She was throwing shade about Stacy. She was really bringing it. She was giving us some reaction faces with like sipping the straw. She knew what she was doing. She was really giving me everything I needed. Truly.
Yes, this is like she's one of the reasons why Potomac is so great because like she just went right in it. She just hopped right in. She knows the girls. She has this history with Giselle and with Karen. She knows the tea. Ray's golfing. He's living his best life. Yeah, like I said, Chris is texting at opportune moments, and yeah, I loved Cookie. I loved Ashley was like yeah 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 when she walked in.
That was like
Great.
pure comedy. And I think that that's actually, I'm glad that they're kind of incorporating Karen here and there in a
Mhm.
way that doesn't feel like the season's about her,
Yeah.
but like it's very smart of them to have like a conduit basically through Cookie to like be like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm one of the three people in contact with her. Here's the tea. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a smart way to handle the Karen of it all this season as she's gone. And I hope we get other scenes like that because that was just great Potomac content, truly. Like that's, as you said, like that's what we want. And they're at
Yeah.
Karen's favorite restaurant. The whole thing.
Eating French toast at the Tally Ho.
Honestly, I'm from DC and I've never been to Tally Ho. I think next time I'm home, I'm gonna have to make a
You have
pilgrimage.
to.
Yeah, and order the Karen special.
I've got a Wendy candle in my cart right now that I'm gonna purchase on right when we're done.
There we go. I have a Wendy candle as well.
Do you like it?
Yes, I do actually. It's
Okay.
very I feel like it's like vanilla vibes kind of. It's like it's
Oh,
strong,
okay.
but it's good. Yes.
Nice.
All right. I think that's kind of the top line things for Potomac, probably.
Well, we got a little preview for Monique.
Oh yeah, so obviously the other thing that Cookie did was she helped tee up Monique's return. And how are you feeling about Monique's return?
I'm fine with it. Like, I mean, I'm a candy gal
Mhm.
personally, but I didn't really have an issue with Monique. So I'm like excited to see her in the mix. I'm excited to see how this whole Chris Samuels plays out. Yeah, I mean, I hope she's ready to play, but I feel like when we found out when they were doing those opening credits and she didn't want to do them, I don't
Right.
really know how much of Mon'nique we're really gonna get.
Totally. That's a good point. And also like people have pointed out like yeah, it's tea that Stacy was sort of like maybe trying to get set up with Chris, but like Stacey has no obligation to Mon'nique. Like she doesn't know her. So like there's not
Right.
it's not like any sort of betrayal or anything that of her, if she was interested in Chris Samuels after his divorce.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like it's like kind of a nothing. She's clearly with T-Mobile, so let's move on.
I am interested like if I would be interested if they really like how was she able to get back on good terms with Wendy and Giselle who like she came very hard for at that reunion with the binder and so I do she hasn't been gone for too long like in a Gretchen or Alexis sense where it's like okay we're gonna be talking about stuff from 12 years ago like it was still only 4 or 5 years ago the binder happened so like I think that it's still fresh enough and unresolved in my mind you know what I mean like
Yeah. But
so
a lot has
I
happened in her life, so that'll
a
be
lot and I
interesting.
hope they ask her about it
Yeah.
so yes and they will they will
Yeah.
all right let's jump over to Orange County
All right.
um where do we even begin I mean okay I'm curious what you think about the Emily Simpson of it all because her and Gretchers, which if I hear her say
Yes.
Gretchers one more
Nails on a
time,
chalkboard.
nails on a chalkboard. It was interesting sort of watching them. They go shopping and Gretchen sort of blows up at Emily. But
Hmm.
then like we find out like that they made up like 30 seconds later. But then when later in the episode when Gretchen, is storming over to confront Tamra with Slade, Emily has a problem with how that was handled. She said it's aggressive. So she's kind of trying to play both sides of the coin here, and
Yeah.
I don't really know where it falls. How do you what do you make of how she's handling herself in this situation?
Emily is a, how do you say, loser? I think she's a big loser, and I think that she,
Kara.
yeah, you're right. Like you peep it, she is like very. You don't really know where you land with her. Like she's on one point here and then the opposite point 5 minutes later and then the other point the other. And at this point, I think with the fun Gretchers of it all and the slate of it all, everybody's dirty. Nobody's hands are clean in this except for
hmm
like maybe Shannon, because I don't
hmm
really think she cares all that much. And she was the one who hated Katie more than anybody, like when this whole season
Right,
started.
totally. She
So
recorded her. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I just find Emily to be somebody who doesn't need to be on the show anymore. I would like Emily to take up knitting, find a hobby, just anything else. I don't really know. Yeah, her loyalties don't lie with anybody except for Gina, but it's like
Do you feel the same way about Gina that you do about Emily?
To a lesser extent, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think much like, Robin left and Giselle was forced to kind of make up with Wendy and like play with the girls a little bit. I think we need to break up that conglomerate of Emily and Gina,
Hmm.
and Gina can stay. And if she doesn't behave herself the next season, then she's got to go too.
Got it.
But I think we would have more with Gina playing along with people. I just feel like Emily is an operator and yeah, I feel like, yeah, people got screwed over by Gretchen. But are we surprised? Like,
Right. Right. I was just like, why does Emily care so much that Tamara met up with Katie? Like it's she didn't do anything to her directly, right?
right.
Like she like so I'm like, why are you like the most vocal about this? It just didn't really track with me, you know? Like obviously it's very transparent that Tamara's doing this for like, you know, alliance and strategic reasons. Like obviously that's what's happening here.
Mhm.
But I guess they can't say that. So maybe like they're like but Emily the sort of the robustness of her reaction to it just didn't track for me at all.
Yeah, it just is like, yeah, exactly. Why are you so mad? What is your skin in the game in this? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Other than she's just like, ultimately, I feel like Emily is deeply intimidated by Katie. on some level.
Mm. Yeah, I think a lot of them probably are. And speaking of the Tamra Katie meetup, they basically came down to the conclusion Slade is the eye of the storm. And we see some text messages of Katie basically texting Gretchen being like I'll never tell a soul, basically. And like what else would she be talking about if it wasn't for, you know, what she told her?
Right.
And I guess my reaction to this meetup, honestly, it's just proof that the whole thing about dragging Sheena into it was bullshit. Because like they
Mm,
are landing here on Gretchen telling Katie, you know what I mean? And like Katie
right.
went to lunch with Kiki, and I'm just sort of like it almost like sometimes Katie is still telling on herself by like
Yes.
being like, no, Gretchen told me, and like I believe that she did. But then
Hmm.
how does it get to then it obviously naturally jumps to Kiki via you, Katie. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I just I feel like yeah, unless that text message was about what Gretchen uses to Photoshop her pictures on Instagram, like what else?
which maybe it is.
I will never tell Gretchen, I promise.
Gretchen confronting Tamara with Slade or attempting to.
Mm,
It's just like bringing the husband along to do your dirty work, which Gretchen has been relying on all season with Slade,
hmm.
whether it's on the phone or in person. It's never a good idea, much less doing it 3 or 4 times in a row. Like, I just
Right.
think that in addition to being reliant on stale tea from over a decade ago, Gretchen's also just reliant on her husband because she doesn't want to dirty her own hands. But it's like,
Exactly.
but it's like, first of all, nobody's believing that it's all him and that you're not like she's teeing him up behind the scenes to
Right.
do this stuff. And so like I would have more respect for it if she would just own that. And but she really can't.
Right. And trying to stick it on Emily and Heather by being like, you're the one who pressured me into calling Slade in the first place.
But
Like,
about the song,
no.
they had no idea about the quote unquote recording of her with the 98 Degrees
Exactly.
guy, right? So
Yeah.
like what they didn't know about that. So they
Right.
couldn't have pressured her. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like
Trying to save Slade is never going to
mm.
make you look anything but goofy. So give it up, Gretchen.
And also he doesn't her explanation of Slade getting involved is like he only gets involved when his name gets brought up, which again is just it's just not true though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. And
it's
what
not.
also really blows me is like, you guys are partners. Why don't we like have a conversation before we walk into these scenes and have a united front? Because Slade just
Hmm.
goes feral. And Gretchen's like, oh no, now I got to clean up his mess like I always do and pay for it.
Yeah. How are you thinking about like they taped the reunion last week too, which the seating chart was wild and unexpected. But
Very.
how are you thinking about? I mean, OC's going into season 20, and I think a lot of people are thinking about, season 20 has to be kind of a banger. You're
Yeah.
you're you're guessing they want a lot of the kind of iconic vets there and the long running
Yeah.
people there. So what does it look like? What would it ideally look like for you? Like, what do you? Because I feel like a reset ahead of season 20 doesn't fully feel realistic necessarily.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about sort of that big landmark season?
I mean, this is our first 20th season. I feel
Hmm.
like maybe we just go like completely different and just see what all the former housewives are up to. Like, let's get Gina there.
Oh,
Like, let's just see, like, forget a storyline, forget like, whatever. Like, let's just kind of like see what all the girls are up to these days. And, maybe we like mix and mingle with the cast that we have now. But like I want to see our girls. I mean I honestly I'd rather see anything than what we've been getting for several
so
seasons
you
on
so
Orange
you would
County.
take like sort of like a meandering sort of look back at sort of who like where everybody is and like how their paths are
Yeah.
crossing and okay, that's interesting. It would be kind of fourth wall breaky meta of a like a meta watch. You know what I mean?
Right. Like almost do like what they would do in the Peacock spinoff. Like maybe let's have like one big party where
Hmm.
all the former housewives are there and just like kind of see what happens from there. Like what drama, who are we talking to? Squash the beef. Let's do it.
I don't. It's a very interesting idea. I'm not against that, to be
Yeah.
honest. All right, let's go down to Florida. Let's go to Miami. I mean, part two of the Real Housewives of Miami season 7 reunion. Do I say it goes down in history?
Unbelievable. I feel bad for the people who don't watch Miami
Me
because
too.
these ladies are like firing on different cylinders and they're all weird and I love it.
You had an affair with a Haitian mortician and you would pay for the motels and you bought him a coffee. Like, the thing
And you
about
bought him a coffee
Adriana,
maker, bitch. Like what?
like, talk about you can't make this shit up. Like, that is just,
Really?
and I heard from people who don't watch Miami who saw the clip and they were like, I don't know what's going on here, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you just have to say, like, the reason why it's iconic is because of Adriana. Adriana knows how to, and I don't even want to say level up because she's great in season 2, of course, but like
Mhm.
the way that she steps up at a reunion to deliver high camp drama, like just going for it every single time.
Props. Yeah.
It's, yeah, I mean, we got the second organ related prop, the heart in the box. And it wasn't like a cute paper heart, it was like
No.
a,
Full
a
medical
human heart.
anatomical heart. Yeah.
I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due. Like she talk about earning her keep and earning her contract for next season at these reunions. Like she does it better than anybody else.
And the props always land for me. Like they're deeply corny, but they're always so entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me just run through some of the stuff that Julia is saying about this stuff. She's saying
Mhm.
that she's in shame, she's embarrassed, but Martina knows about these alleged affairs that she's had. And she like weirdly like doesn't deny it, but then like she walks back, she like sort of saddles up to Andy as they walk backstage on the break, and she's like,
Yeah.
she basically admits that they are true and she laughs about it, which was kind of like, I don't know, just odd. Like just admit it on stage though. You know what I mean? Like it's like she couldn't give Adriana the satisfaction of her being right, even though she knew she was right. Yeah, she told Martina 6 months ago that this stuff had gone down. And she's claiming that, obviously their marriage wasn't in a good place when it happened, but she's claiming that since it happened in the Hamptons, she's been psychologically abused by Adriana. And she was blackmailing her and saying that Julia owed Adriana her paycheck. I mean, it was such like a blanket statement from her that she was being blackmailed by her. I was like, give me an example of when she actually said this to you. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right. It doesn't make any sense how she decided to let everybody know that she and Adriana had slept together. Because the smart thing to do, if you're claiming, oh, I knew in my heart that Adriana was going to tell this, and she's been threatening me for years now about this rumor, why wouldn't you, after you told Martina, tell her, I have a suspicion that Adriana's going to bring this up at the reunion. Do you mind if I just say, hey, we've already talked about this? And
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, like move on, because then it would have really not been anything. But you deciding to tell us didn't make any sense, and it gave Adriana the perfect gift of being like, I wasn't
Yeah,
gonna say that.
totally. Well, I also don't believe Adriana was going to say that in the finale. I think it was
Yeah,
something else because she was talking about breaking the fourth wall, and
right.
the thing that she was like, "You don't want me to go there," when they were arguing at Stephanie's party, and so they're kind of assuming Adriana was going to say something about the affair, about them sleeping together. I don't think she was going there. I think she was talking about something else because
And
this
now
doesn't
we're
break.
never gonna know.
And now we're never,
Maybe.
yeah, now we're never gonna know. But it's like them sleeping together doesn't break the fourth wall to me. So that sort of accusation doesn't super track. But yeah, I mean, like that was obviously the it's just the moment of all moments, and like unfortunately, because I'm kind of for Julia not being on the show after this, but like it kind of gives her fodder for another
I
season.
know.
You know what
It's
I
so
mean?
annoying.
Uh,
It's so annoying. It's torture. It's literally like now I'm being psychologically tortured by Julia,
yeah,
threatening to stay on the show.
there we go. There we go. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, but as you said, like by Julia bringing it up, Adriana had all the rights to swing back at her and to reveal this stuff. Like it's not,
Right.
and I think that like the way that I think something that is sort of annoying me in general about this reunion a little bit is that both couches are like running laps in the other direction to defend anybody on their couch against anything. Like both
Hmm.
sides, not just the side with Julia and not just the side with Adriana. Like some of the stuff from the part one too, I was like, they're all like in such a line. There's two big alliances right now, and they're bending over backwards to defend each other. And like sometimes you just gotta like admit that your friend is wrong. You know what I mean? Or that you admit that they did something wrong. And like none of them can do that right now, though. You know?
Larsa, least of all, like she could be like, "Oh, I thought what Adriana was saying was bullshit," but then also be like, let her speak." Like which one is it? You know?
And also, Larsa is the one who called out Julia allegedly making out with a guy 2 seasons ago,
Right,
and
right.
now we don't believe the affair accusations.
Exactly. This feels very much like open secret with the cast. And yeah, now
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like, what are you talking about?
I also felt a little bit like Alexia was like they're putting so much blame on Adriana for this, and it's like because she like came into a married couple's situation, but it's like Julia is the married one who has the responsibility to have the boundary with other people. You know, like
Yeah.
Julia is the one. I mean, obviously, I mean, I think everybody's at fault, I guess, but like I just don't think that it's more Adriana's fault than anybody else's. Like it doesn't track.
Lisa was really the only one who was like, but you're the one who's married. And then Gertie was like, telling Russell, you've been engaged 9 times. You still can't be loyal.
That was that was good. I did love how much of it took place like backstage. Adriana storming into
Yeah.
their room, Adriana venting to Lisa and Jody, being like, "Can you believe I made her the godmother to my dog?" You know, like just there's all these offhanded moments, but Adriana again, fearless in a reunion setting, just storming in, having four of her ops lined up right in front of her, and she
Yeah.
just held her own because she knew that they were talking about her, and she had to control. I really appreciated her performance. I really, really did.
Yeah. She's resilient. She's very much like Lindsay Hubbard in that way, where people just come at her and she's like, well, whatever.
Yep. Wait, what about also the revelation? Because in our minds, this is from the Hamptons and the Versace mansion, the first season they came back. Adriana says that Julia pinned her up against a wall in Spain on this season, trying to go back to her room with her.
Right. Right. And Alexia being like, well, she only did that because you guys had already hooked up before. Like, girl. I fully believe it. Yeah, I mean, Julia is very flirtatious. She's very like handsy. She's very kissy. So yeah, it would not surprise me. And like, I feel like low key, they were kind of, despite the fact that Julia was repeatedly saying that Martina's like a brand new woman with these new adopted boys, there was some tension between them that I feel like was like very bubbling underneath the surface.
And you also, she said, I told Martina 6 months ago, sort of anticipation of this potentially coming out. There's no way she told her every detail. And so you have to wonder what Martina's actually feeling and thinking watching this back because Adriana spilled a lot,
Yeah.
and not only that, but that means that Julia was telling her a lot, So it's embarrassing for Martina too, which like I don't give a fuck. Like she's
Good.
you're right. It's like I mean like the shit that she says online, like she deserves that. But like but just from looking at their relationship and that standpoint, it's like it can't be good
Yeah.
right now in that household, you
It's
know?
got to be real tense.
Yeah. Low key, one of my favorite parts was when Adriana was like, "Do you miss me or my little pussy?"
My sweet little pussy. Girl,
I can't.
she's so incredible. She needed to switch seats with Stephanie like quickly. Just swap.
Swap. But I will say, I actually think that Stephanie is having a decent. She's recalibrated enough in this reunion for me. Like she's not. She still is like There's a lot of like blowing smoke up her own whatever the whole time,
Yeah.
but like she's being a little bit more low key, tampered down than I maybe expected her to be, which was wise of her to do.
I mean, we do see her screeching in the preview for part three, but she got the first two parts,
That's
sure.
true. That's true. She gets there. Who's she
Yeah.
screeching at? Alexia?
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
More stuff about the PJ, but her coming to the conclusion that I just need to talk about my private jet with other private jet owners because it's upsetting to the people who don't have
Incredible.
them.
Incredible. Really,
Love it.
really a woman worrying about the people. She does. Yeah. Wow. Wow. There was other parts of the reunion, but that was really what we needed to talk about. So
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff.
no, really, I haven't rewatched it, but I kind of just talking about it with
Kind
you
of
makes
want
you
to,
want to.
right?
I want to rewatch it and really kind of get these one-liners down. Um, all right, well, that rounds out. Again, there's a lot going on, so
Whew, a lot
I
going
appreciate
on.
you walking through it with me. Um, when and where can people listen to your podcast, Kara? Do all the plugs before we sign off here,
Yeah, my
because
podcast
obviously you
is
have fantastic commentary.
Thank you so much. My podcast is called Everyone's Business But Mine. Not only do I recap Bravo shows and Housewives, I also go over to TLC. So if you're a Sister Wives fan or Seeking Sister Wife fan, I'm recapping those as well. It's a mess.
I admire you for that.
Thank you.
That's a whole other world, and
It
I
really is.
keeping track of this one world is enough. I really respect that you're able to have a lock on those two.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really do. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, and we'll
It was
talk
a
again soon.
dream.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
I want to gab.